Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. As always, my name is Harmon. Today's video is all about a guy who went inside an Albertsons grocery store and ended up killing two people inside with a samurai sword. It was a pretty bloody scene. I wanted to film it and of course tell you guys what happened. So the date was June 29th, 2003. Just after 9 a.m. 30-year-old Joseph Hunter Parker went inside the Albertsons store here in Riverside, California. Now, this Albertsons was where Joseph used to work, and he had quit that job about a couple weeks or so prior to the murders. On the morning of June 29th, he strolled in wearing like a long trench coat and wielding a 3-foot long samurai sword. He ended up talking to one of the managers about something, and after he was done talking to the manager, he turned his attention to some of his former co-workers. There was about 50 people in the store at the time, and he turned his attention to John Nutting, who was 59 years old. He was an employee. Joseph ended up stabbing him apparently right through the heart with the sword, killing him there right by the front entrance. Next was 55-year-old Judith Fleming, again another employee. She was in one of the aisles stocking shelves, and Joseph came over and slashed her many times with the sword and almost ended up decapitating her. Of course, many witnesses stated that there was so much blood that many of the witnesses either passed out, ran away, or kind of just stood there in shock. One of the employees, his name was Mark Ming, he stated that he never really felt threatened by Joseph when he worked there, but he kind of just described him as just really odd. Joseph would have kind of like full conversations with himself, and I was reading some other articles, and it kind of states that he kind of had schizophrenia, or most likely had schizophrenia. After 911 was called, police showed up fairly quickly. One of the officers had a Colt AR-15 assault rifle. Having a normal 9mm handgun probably wasn't going to cut it. So one of the officers grabbed his Colt AR-15 rifle. And so 3 officers initially went inside the store and of course scoped out where Joseph was. One of the officers, named Officer Fender, he saw Joseph at the end of the aisle, kind of towards the back where the meat section was. Joseph ignored his orders to drop the sword, and instead he smiled and laughed at him, but didn't say anything. It says at that point, Joseph kind of made a quick motion to get away, and that is when Officer Fender fired twice with the rifle. Ended up missing his initial shots. Once he got closer to Joseph, he ended up shooting 3 more times. One round ended up hitting some frozen food, another round hit like a freezer, and the last round he shot ended up hitting Joseph in like the upper chest area. And there was other people that Joseph injured, including several other customers that he ended up slashing. Their names were Ryan Flanagan, Thomas Peters, and Eva Merez. Again, those 3 survived, but of course John Nutting and Miss Fleming both of course did not. On numerous occasions, Joseph told his family and friends that he might become violent and that voices in his head were telling him to do some bad things. He of course suffered from schizophrenia for numerous years, and apparently had sought help from like a mental health system, but I guess never got the help he needed, as I guess he didn't display any signs of like psychotic behavior, which is kind of ironic because he again displayed many times that he was talking to himself, etc. So I'm not sure why the mental health facility said, oh, no worries, he's not really a danger to anyone. Alright guys, so I'm at 3943 Irvine Boulevard, and this is the former Albertsons where that massacre took place. I don't know if it closed down immediately after the event in 2003 or if it stayed open for a while. But it looks like it's turning into some other business. Looks like maybe another grocery store potentially. It's a very interesting style of building. So it looks like this place is going to be called H Mart Groceries and More. That's really cool. I'm glad that there's a plaque that dedicates the two victims here. I always hate it when I go to a place and they don't talk about the people who died. I feel like it's important to, memorialize them. Anyway, here we go, guys. In memory of Judy Fleming and John Nutting, the two victims. Now, I think what's, again, kind of more tragic about this case is, for one, that both of the former employees, the victims, both of them were set to retire, from what I've read, within like a few months, I believe. And so they were not going to be working there much longer. So it's unfortunate that they, of course, happened to be there working when Joseph showed up. I know if he decided to commit that massacre a few months later, they wouldn't have been working there anymore, and potentially would have been, saved. But, again, that's kind of one of those things, kind of wishful thinking, I guess. Joseph was born in 1972. He grew up in Richmond, Virginia. He was sexually assaulted for 6 years by, I guess, his uncle or great uncle. Not condoning his actions, but he obviously had a pretty unhealthy childhood, to say the least. Anyway, so after graduating from high school in 1991, Joseph got a job at a Kevlar manufacturing plant in Virginia, and also became like a volunteer firefighter. In the late 90s, he ended up moving to California and ended up getting a couple different jobs before landing the job there at Albertsons. He started becoming more and more bizarre in like his actions. He, I guess, continued to play a specific song on loop, and again started telling his family that he started hearing voices.